is, or if there were more people that might be taking a shot at Winterfell, like Cersei and the Lannister troops. The photos from Oakleaf actually show that there are people outside of the gate, and the video gives you an idea that they may be using a battering ram, because if you listen to it, you can hear that they're sort of counting off almost, or they're working on something as a team as they're out front of the gate there. From the distance that the photos were taken from, you can't tell 100% about anything that's going on there. We do know it's Winterfell. They are people, not White Walker-looking beings there. And if you had to guess, it could be Lannister helmets that they're wearing. It gives you quite a bit to think about there, because if Southern armies get to Winterfell before the White Walkers, how will that all play out? And let's not forget that Jaime had gone north at the end of season 7, and Cersei will likely be pissed off about that and want to go after. But if you remember, her plan was to let them fight the White Walkers, get destroyed, and then she could clean up what was left over. So it's a little bit unclear how this would all go down, when it would be. But most of what we've seen so far has been in the early part of the season based on the directors who were in town. Beyond that, the cast has been doing a lot of talking. Maisie Williams in particular has been doing a lot of interviews because she has a new project coming out that's unrelated. So of course, people want to get in questions about Game of Thrones when they talk to her. One quote that she had that's probably not accurate, but has caused a stir with the fandom, is that she said that they were going to wrap shooting in December with the first episode coming out in April. She mentioned that, that's a really short turnaround for such huge episodes. There's so much that goes into it. But according to Watchers on the Wall, they say that they have not heard anything to contradict that the filming will end in summer like we heard last year. So it doesn't seem like she knew what she was talking about, or things have changed since she was interviewed at that time. Lena Headey also did an interview, and she said that they did a big cast read-through of the final season, and everyone cried at one point or another. And in her opinion, it was just very surprising what happens. We've also heard from Peter Dinklage, who plays Tyrion. He said that he thinks this is the right time for the Game of Thrones series to end. He feels like this is the best possible way for it to conclude rather than dragging on and jumping the shark. We also found out that they will be filming in Iceland again, and I'm hoping that they'll also be filming in Spain, which, hoping is not the right word. I hope we see some good stuff when they film in Spain. But yeah, there's a Icelandic news site that reported that they will be filming there in February. That's dead of winter in that part of the world, so that is a lot for speculation about what'll be going on there. The White Walkers are through the wall, so would they really be going north of the wall again? We see a lot of stuff from north of the wall in Iceland, but this could very well just be other parts of the north where the White Walkers will be marching. We don't know anything about it except for that some of the main cast are expected to take part in the shooting there, which pretty much every scene should have members of the main cast at this point, since we're going to the end. Some other stuff that happened last month, I wasn't making videos last month, so I didn't report on any of this stuff yet. We knew that they were building a bunch of stuff outside of Titanic Studios, and that they were also filming in Moneyglass, which is where Winterfell stuff gets filmed. But we also got some spoilers from people who are close to the production. I mentioned that, we saw new walls and battlements being built up, and we saw a lot of snow and different things going on. There's a trench or a moat, as well as a trebuchet, but there was this giant one that we saw outside of Titanic Studios, and it does not seem to be the same one. All of it points to Winterfell being under attack at least once, if not twice. Outside of Titanic, they were building for quite a while, and we weren't really sure what it was for, but it got pretty exciting because they started doing fire tests. and sources had told Watchers on the Wall that it was the streets of King's Landing. So that is exciting because they're building something that is going to be King's Landing that can be destroyed. That's why they're building it outside of the studios instead of using the historic places that they generally use for King's Landing scenes. So this pretty much makes it sound like Daenerys will be bringing the dragons to King's Landing, or let's not forget that the Night King also has a dragon of his own at this point, and the flames that are going to be burning this place down could either be red or blue, depending on who actually hits King's Landing first. And the last big news of interest was that over the holidays, everybody went home. We found out that Kit Harington had come back to Belfast, and then Los Siete Reinos in Spain reported that Peter Dinklage had returned. Fans were able to piece together that they were shooting in the area where they shoot the Winterfell crypt scenes because the director of photography, Fabian Wagner, who's going to be working with Miguel Sapochnik for the 3rd and 5th episodes of Season 8, posted a nice shot of Shane's castle on Instagram. Again, sources say that at least the first 2 episodes will visit the Winterfell crypts. In one scene, 2 main characters are supposed to discuss Ned's death. That could certainly be Jon and Bran, or anyone else for that matter. There's more to speculate here as well because Sapochnik is known for his battle scenes. We expect that he'll be shooting a battle at Winterfell in episode 3 or 5. So could this mean that the crypt will be there whenever the Night King arrives? So they will be in the crypt at that point? It's a lot to think about. There's a lot to guess on that one. I mean, the crypt, if they're shooting a bunch in Winterfell, the crypt is just a good place for a lot of things to happen. Obviously, Jon finding out his parentage since Lyanna's statue's down there would be expected. I mean, I expect that to happen, but we may see quite a bit more, and I don't want to get too excited about anything real cool happening down there, but if you've been following the show and reading the books for all this time, you know there's several different theories about things that might be down there, whether it may be something left behind in her tomb. The one that I absolutely don't believe and have never really been a big fan of, which is that there's a dragon under Winterfell. But we also have all of these statues of the kings of winter and all the northern kings from the beginning of the Stark household going down deeper into the crypts there. So yeah, it's an interesting place. There's not much in the way of leaked details to actually give us an idea of what's going to happen there. But I'm excited about it either way because this is feeling like we're going to get some answers to something, and I can't wait. We also know that things were not going well for the Night's Watch the last time we saw them. The Night King had breached the wall and passed through, so there wasn't very many of them in the first place, and there should be less at this point.